Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Minecraft update video. It is Snapshot 20w46a, and in the changelog, there was no mention of something that I've discovered straight away. You see, there's been some texture changes in this snapshot, and one of those was the bundle. You can see it in my hotbar right here. However, it's now got this new icon when you hover over the top of it that shows you what's inside the bundle, right? This is really cool. We go and pick up a bunch of diamond blocks. You can see, look at that. They're now displayed in there. This is a really great way to tell exactly what is inside of your bundle. And as we put more and more items into it, it gets filled up further and further, making it very easy to see all the items that you have in the bundle. Now, I immediately wondered, have they done this for the Shulker box as well? The answer is no. I would really love to see that feature on the Shulker box. I think that could be amazing. And this bundle right here is clearly full, and you can see that every block inside of it is basically represented. I've got a couple of extra lamps and calcite in there, but essentially it will display every single item inside of the bundle. And this reminds me, I got tons of questions on the last snapshot video asking if you could put a shulker box inside of a bundle. The answer is no, it doesn't allow that to go in there. But the other way around does work, and this makes total sense if you think about it. The most you can put into a single slot is 64 items, and that is the most that a bundle holds. So you can put your bundles in your shulker box. So powder snow has been added in this snapshot, and we've already seen this in the beta version of the game. It was introduced alongside goats. There are no goats in this snapshot, but the powder snow works rather differently. So I have a powder snow bucket right here. This is the only way to place it into the world. You can't actually pick up the block itself. You have to do this with a bucket. I can imagine that being a little bit tedious in survival mode, but this is a trap block, and the way that you pick it up from the world is to right click with an empty button, and that then would create a powder snow bucket if I were in survival, of course. Let's place a couple more of these back actually, because this has some similar features to what we've seen on Bedrock. When you go inside, the kind of atmospheric glow and particle effects kick in, but we don't get that frost look around the screen. Yeah, okay, there we go. When you go into survival mode, it starts to appear, and that's because there is a freezing effect, but we will come back to that in just a moment. So like in Bedrock, this is a trap block that entities can fall through. As you can see, the items are making their way down. If I go and put a block alongside here and put a creeper on it, that will also fall down. The reason I put the block there is because when you click on the block itself, it seems to spawn inside of it rather than on top of it. The way to circumvent this is with leather boots, which gives them some use in this game. So if I go and jump down like this, you see that I don't fall through it. And you can see this applies to other entities as well. The zombie has boots on, and he also likes to do dancing apparently. So how do you get your hands on the powder snow to begin with? Well, it involves cauldrons, and it involves snow as well. So supposedly, when it's snowing in the world, the cauldrons are going to start to fill up with snow, or powder snow, should I say. So I've set down a lot of cauldrons, and after about 60 seconds, we've got 3 slivers of snow. If we press F3, we're probably going to be able to see it has level 1 on it. Okay. I can actually use the command here to set them all to powder snow cauldrons. There we go. And I can also use this command to see how many levels they have. It would appear to be 3, just like with water. Yeah, there you go. So it has 3 levels, and then you're able to pick the powder snow out of the cauldron. And a quick thing to mention about the cauldron, if you're on fire, dropping into here can put you out of fire, and if you did or didn't notice it, the level drops down by 1. So it is time to experiment on myself. You see, standing in one of these blocks will apparently slowly zoom in, put the freezing effect on the screen, and I, the player, will be getting frozen, and I will start to take damage at some point, supposedly. There we go. And look at the hearts down there. Oh, that's amazing. Frozen hearts. I love the texture. That's so cool. So the rate at which I'm taking damage does not seem to be speeding up. It is rather slow. When inside of 2 blocks, the damage rate appears to be the same. Also, I love how when you become unfrozen, it slowly zooms out again. This is so very, very cool. Now there is a way that this effect can be slowed down, and that is by wearing leather armor. And for each piece of leather armor, the effect will be slowed down. And I'm going to guess that includes taking damage. It's kind of hard to tell. Let's put on 3 pieces of leather armor. So in theory, I am slightly warmer wearing this. However, when I put on 4 pieces of armor, I shouldn't be taking any more damage. That's kind of different to what the blog says. Well, I've walked all the way out, and then I've gone back in, and the freezing effect is coming out, and it says, wearing a full set of leather armor prevents freezing entirely. That does not appear to be so. You can see we're taking damage. You are now hearing a lot of noises because inside of here there are a lot of creepers that are all starting to freeze because this applies to all entities. So a moment ago I just summoned a bunch of creepers on here. So after being in there for a short while, they then start to take freezing damage. So this snapshot has more to offer us yet. I just quickly wanted to say, if you are not subscribed, then consider subscribing and you can catch the videos and stay informed with these Minecraft updates. Next up, let's talk texture changes. This one has included quite a few, and it's the new blocks that have had their textures changed, and presumably not by too much when it comes to the blocks. Some of them are more obvious, like the candles over here. And I think what Mojang are doing here is rolling out these snapshots with some intended back and forth with the community, as it doesn't really make sense to change a texture, 1 week after you've revealed it, unless you plan to do that all along. So I think they're looking for our feedback to get a feel for the right textures. So here is a side-by-side comparison of all the textures. I think the ones in the new snapshot are an improvement, especially the items. The candles look fantastic. The bundle bag is a big improvement. And for the rest of the textures, I don't think there is much of a difference, but I think they've toned down the contrast a little bit. And in general, the textures are slightly softer. Notice the lightning rod. That is definitely a little bit darker than it was before. All in all, I'd say these are all improvements, but let me know what you think with a comment down below. Do you like the new textures or prefer the older ones? In this snapshot, we also have an update to the use of buttons. So if we go and look at difficulty here, you'll see that I can use my mouse wheel to scroll through all the difficulties in either direction. And when you click, there is one direction which you go in. And if you now hold down Shift and click, it will go in the opposite direction. Now there was some functionality for holding down Shift to unlock the debug world type, so now you hold down the Alt button and when you click through you'll be able to find the debug mode world. And also a little something from Twitter relating to this snapshot. So Bartek Bok has put out one of these cryptic videos again, but it's actually pretty easy to tell what's going on here. If you notice the changing numbers down here, this is being controlled by a data pack, and what it's interacting with is the light level. So in this snapshot, you'll now be able to use commands and functions and whatnot to interact with the light level at the locations in the world, which is a really fascinating addition. So the lightning rod does as you might expect, it draws in lightning. With that it can generate redstone power, and we saw all of this in the last video. The change in this snapshot is the range. So it was previously 32 blocks by 32, which is roughly where the black glass is, and it says that this range has been doubled. Now I'm assuming that that means it's now 64 blocks across in each direction, which is kind of more than doubling if you think about the amount of area that then covers. But once again, the game is just being really stubborn and I'm not getting any lightning at the moment. So we can't see it in action, but they're experimenting with making the range bigger, which I really think is a good idea. Maybe it needs to be bigger than this still, but I think that's a big improvement as this area here, it's kind of small. So last week on my second channel, I made a video talking about last week's snapshot, and I pointed out that copper is kind of expensive at 9 ingots per block. We've got no way to farm this yet, and we don't really know what's happening with ore generation. So you can see they've lowered it down to 4 ingots, which I still think might be a little bit on the pricey side, and cut copper is still made out of copper blocks, although you do get 4 for each recipe. So the price has been reduced, and I think I might make another video on my second channel this week about, my thoughts on this snapshot after I've made the review. And now for the technical changes in 20w46a. As you can see, there is quite a bit of stuff going on here. Let's start off with the data pack and resource packs. There is now clarification for what specifically has been changed in order to update to the latest version. So if you make either of these things, you've got the information that you need right here. Now, an old command has been removed and placed with a new one, which is item. It replaces replace item. And as you'll see here, you're now able to use this command to do that same thing. but you've also got a couple more functions as well. You're now able to modify the item that you are targeting, and you can also copy it to somewhere else. And there are two ways to target as well. You can target an entity, or you can target a block and its contents. Now when it comes to the loot tables, its new conditions, and whatever all of this stuff is, unfortunately, it's a little bit beyond the scope of my understanding. But if you're into this stuff, head over to the article linked below to read up on it. And so in these snapshots, there's always something that you're going to miss, and so here are a few things I missed from last week's snapshot. Dispensers can interact with candles, so they can both light them and then put them out again with a bucket of water. There are a couple of things I forgot to mention about the Amethyst Geodes that we're in right now. The block of Amethyst can be crafted by the shards, 4 of those to make one of them. They can also be moved with pistons, however the budding Amethyst, it gets broken by a piston. And I gotta say, with the new texture inside of here, actually I feel like it's a little bit too much. Something about this feels very grid-like. I think I actually preferred the old texture when you see it inside the geode. And speaking of the geodes, they actually generate with 3 different sizes. I'm gonna guess this is probably the smaller type. And this right here is potentially a medium or a large. I would guess it's a large, but the game generates 3 different sizes of them. Also in the last snapshot, we conducted this experiment to create a charged creeper. And my buddy Mon PJC reached out to me and let me know that he had done this in survival mode. So confirmed, in survival mode you can create charged creepers with the lightning rods. Last snapshot we also learned that when a shulker fires a shulker bullet and it hits another shulker, that it can generate a new one. And this is actually based on the amount of shulkers that are around it. So I believe if you have one shulker in an area and it hits itself with a shulker bullet, that means you have a 100% chance of getting a new one. I don't know the exact numbers, but basically the more shulkers are around, the less likely it is to happen. There was also a new sound added for when a minecart is running underwater, which you are hearing right now. There was also an issue fixed with baby piglins in the Nether. You see, they have the ability to pick up food and to pick up leather, and of course hoglins can drop those items which get hunted by the piglins. So occasionally the baby piglins would pick them up and then never despawn, so they could accumulate, right? So now the deal is they're basically going to ignore both of these items, although the way I learned about it, apparently they will pick them up and eat the food now, but I haven't been able to see that in action. And so with this change, there were some new item tags added, ignored by piglin babies, piglin food, and also candles. And some other block list tags were candles cakes, candles cauldrons, crystal sound blocks. All of these were added in the last snapshot. And now for some bug fixes. In the last snapshot we tried to mine these different stages of Amethyst using Silk Touch, which didn't work. It's been reported as a bug and fixed, so you can Silk Touch these and then use them for decoration. Now in this game, Endermen are supposed to go after Endermites, and this wouldn't have happened if you had spawned one with a summon command or an egg like so. That bug has obviously been fixed. The lapis lazuli block has now been renamed to block of lapis lazuli to be consistent with the naming of other blocks. If you open a map in creative mode, you may occasionally notice that it creates 2 maps, and it also has the ability to write over an existing ID 0 map. Both of those bugs have been fixed in this one. If you are crafting items using the recipe book to put the items into the crafting table, and you're also picking up those same items, there is a possibility that they could get deleted. That bug has been noticed and removed. Well, this next bug fix might not actually be fixed. It says that kelp will no longer generate on magma blocks, but I found some straight away. And last of all, from the bug fix list that I picked out today, eating a pufferfish would give you poison 4, which is erroneous. It's supposed to be poison 2. That has now been patched. And of course there are more bug fixes, most of them relating to last snapshot, breaking a bunch of stuff, but I picked out the ones that I thought were relevant. That brings us to the end of the video, so I want to mention something quickly. I've set up a mailing list on my website xisumavoid.com. You can find a link to it in the description box down below. If you want to get a weekly recap of all of my videos, including these snapshots sent to you, that is the place to sign up for it. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.